the important themes of this film are dealing with grief and how there's no right or wrong way to do it. Love and respect and persistence in relationships and not backing out when the going gets rough when you genuinely love someone. What was the second part of the question?
Well, and sorry, so I know we have 3 and we're crushed for time, but how is it to play how was Casey as your husband, and how was that on set?
He was great. Casey is an amazing actor, and he was just awesome on set. I loved working with him, and he's really fun and great at playing ping pong.
I think seeing a story about friendship and selflessness in the most extreme circumstances and sort of raising the question for all of the viewers of would we do that in similar circumstances was really interesting to me, because I don't think that I necessarily would have before I asked myself the questions this movie poses.
I think for me it's always been about just the passion to pursue something that may not feel that comfortable at the time, and it's a feeling of kind of becoming comfortable with it. And I accepted the offer very quickly. I thought, man, this will be something that's really special in my life.
And for people who haven't seen this beautiful piece of cinema just yet, can you tell us a little bit about what it was that most spoke to you about the piece overall and where you specifically fit into it?
Well, in a creative space as I am in music, I think we're always trying to say something that means something. And I think in the film industry, if I'm candid here, there is a lot of films, a lot like music, that can sometimes just be entertainment and not pull at the heartstrings and really crack into what real life feelings are. And when I read the script and was asked about being a part of this film and was so drawn in by the reality of it all, I was honored to be able to be a person that was literally a part of this family's life and be a friend in the movie. So something that I think is really powerful, and that's, I think, a long answer to a short question of why I would probably accept this role in the film.
And obviously you're playing a friend. I'm curious if that friendship was method acting on set. Did you have a good time with the rest of this astonishing cast that you're alongside?
Yeah, I did, and I really can tell you that I learned as I went. I didn't really know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what not to do because it was my first role, and I think maybe that was probably a good thing.
Obviously, this is a film that gives audiences a lot of precious moments on screen, a lot of precious memories. I'm curious, when you look back at your time on set, is there something that makes you smile the most, something that you think you're going to carry with you in the most special place of your heart?
I think just the opportunity, to be a part of it, but most importantly, like I said, to recreate a story that was as beautiful as this one that was written by Matthew and their real life love with he and Nicole is something that I think it's good to recognize those types of stories and people and feelings, and it's nice to slow down a little bit and do that by doing this film.
My character's name is Charlotte, and she is one of their best friends from college and kind of knows them from when they met Dane for the first time, and they raise their kids together and go through life together, and Charlotte's one of the friends who's really there while Nicole is going through this time in her life.
And obviously the subject matter of this will connect to people on many different levels. What was it about the script overall that most resonated with you as a storyteller the first time you read it?
It was just so human. I could see my family in it. I could see my friends' families in it, just like 5 people trying to get through the unimaginable and make still magical life moments happen felt priceless to me, and that really connected me to the story.
Talking about priceless moments, when you're on set with this astonishing cast, what are the moments looking back now that make you smile the most, that are the most precious to you?
Honestly, sitting in a trailer next to Cherry Jones and her telling me stories about old New York City and riding her bike, and honestly, I was like, I wish I had a tape recorder to save this moment forever.
And I think obviously this family, particularly Dakota and Casey, are actors of astonishing skill. Can you articulate what you think it is, the rare ability they both seem to have that makes them the right fit for this team, this family?
Yeah, they just really understand vulnerability, I think, to bring to their work, and I think that with stories like this, you can't skip bringing your heart to it, and there's just something devastating about watching them perform in such a profound way that I was so annoying asking them acting tips on set all the time, like, what's your process? And they were so gracious about it.
I mean, when you ask those questions, did you get an answer that you've taken with you and you think you're going to get use out of?
Honestly, I think the most comforting thing is that everyone is nervous and everyone is trying to find their investigation into the process. And as much as someone seems like they know everything, they don't walk with that kind of grandiosity. There's so much humility there.
Talking about apprehension, I think sometimes when people see the subject matter of films like this, they have a certain expectation about what the film's going to be like and what it's going to do to them. What do you think is going to surprise people most about this story, in particular, this family's journey?
I think it's funnier than people think it will be. There are these little slice of life moments. It's not, I think the craziest things about tragedy like this is that every moment isn't tragedy. You know, there's still holidays, there's still walking to the grocery store together, and those moments, I think, brighten it up.
And in terms of bright moments, what makes Jason one of the very brightest moments you can possibly have in a film?
I mean, he's truly the kindest person I've ever worked with, and it was shocking. And people told me that would be the case, and I was like, whatever. And then I met him, and I was like, they're not kidding. Nicest man in Hollywood, and made it such a joy to be on set every day.
And how much of a joy is it to bring the film specifically here to TIFF?
I mean, TIFF is world-renowned. It's such a beautiful place in the middle of Toronto to bring these stories to the world, and I'm just happy to be here.
This film is about a mom who's diagnosed with cancer, and her best friend leaves his entire life and moves in with the family and just kind of takes the role of the mom and just... it just helps out the family. And Molly is, she just doesn't, she's mad at the world because, why is this happening to her? And she just finds it really unfair, and it's unfair to her that her dad gets to live this, that her dad gets to take the role of the dad when he hasn't been around at all. And she's just very frustrated and very mad at the world, and she just doesn't understand why this is happening to her.
And there's so many different themes, a lot of complexity there. Can you talk about working with an astonishing cast, particularly Casey and Dakota as your parents to start with?
They're just so amazing. I learned so much from Casey. He is so professional on set. It's amazing. It's crazy. And then off set, he's just one of the most amazing people that you will ever meet. Trust me, he's just the best, and I wish he was here tonight.
Of course, Jason's character has a transformative effect on the film. Can you talk about the experience of being on set with him and what that was like? Was he the Joker on set?
He was the Joker on set, actually. Off set, we hung out. Violet, plays my little sister Evie, and Jason, Violet, and I, we all had fun together because we had so many scenes together, and it was just so fun. They made so many jokes, and we sang in the car, and it was just kind of like we were a family. It was really fun.
You look back on your time with that family, what's your most precious memory that makes you smile the most?
I'd say the fountain scene and the Mardi Gras scene, just because there were so many people around, and it really felt like it just made it more real, and it was just really fun because everyone was happy, and we were all yelling, and beads were getting thrown at us, and we were splashing in the fountain, and it was just really, really fun.
Talking about reality, obviously when people hear the subject matter of this film, they maybe have expectations of the film. What do you think is going to surprise people the most about this story and these characters, this journey?
I think it's like a roller coaster. It's just life, because in so many parts you're just smiling and laughing because one of the little girls are having fun and Violet's just laughing, and then the next part you're sobbing, and it's just like a big roller coaster of life, and people are really going to connect to that because it's just really relatable.
Can you talk about what it means for you to see this very personal, very moving story adapted to screen in the way this now has been?
It's going through the process has made me realize sort of what a powerful medium film actually is. I had lived through the events, and then I had written about the events, and I thought watching the events be played out wouldn't be that difficult, but on set it was very emotional. I was shocked by how difficult it was to get through some of the scenes, and the acting was excellent and the writing was terrific, but there was just something about the visual medium that really it heightens everything. Yeah.
What is it about this team, Gabriela as a director and this cast, that gave you the confidence in these storytellers to hand over such a large part of your own life to them?
Yeah. Well, it's important to me that the story not be given any sort of sheen or gloss, that it be an actual sort of a true story. And Gabriela, coming from the documentary world, she made a terrific documentary called Blackfish. I knew that she understood what it meant to hold to the facts, and we were able largely to do that. I mean, some things had to be moved around a little bit, but she was very faithful to the original story, and that meant a lot to me.
In terms of what means the most to you, is there a particular moment in this film that is the most poignant for you, the one that you either smile the most or cry the most when you see it on the big screen?
I think any time that my daughters are on screen, or the actresses playing my daughters, the young girls, that's particularly poignant and difficult for me, because my wife suffered greatly, but she was an adult and she knew how to understand what was happening. But there's something about children that's different, because they can't necessarily reason why we suffer, and so it's especially difficult to see them. Yeah.
And I'm curious, when an audience gets a chance to go on this journey with this family, what are you most hoping that people take away from it, both those that have experienced this kind of loss and those that perhaps haven't in their own lives?
When I was going through everything with Nicole, my wife, it was until my friend Dane moved in to help us. It was a very lonely process. You feel like you're the only person who's ever had to suffer through such a thing in your life, and when actually there are people all the time dying normal, everyday deaths all the time. And my hope is that with the original story and then with the movie is that we can sort of reach into those lonely places and tell people, hey, other people understand what you're going through.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!